Well, g'day, Zaki. Thanks for the call today, mate.
Thanks, Peter. It's always good to speak to you.
So, listen, mate, whereabouts are you at the moment? You look like you're at home.
I am at home. I'm enjoying this beautiful Wednesday morning at home, just like I love to do. It's in Sydney, and it's a good day to be at home too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm out at Kurrajong too, so I'm probably experiencing the similar weather.
It
Yeah,
is. I mean, it's been an interesting summer in Sydney, but you know what? As long as the sun is out somewhere, it's good.
yeah, that's right. So let's kick this thing off, man. What could you tell us about some of the? You might hear my son in the background too. He's home, so I'm at home as well. But yeah, I just sort of put those disclaimer in there. There's a lot of Skype magic, a lot of stuff going on, but this is just how it is, man. You deal with what you got, and you sort of push through. So anyway, so could you tell us a bit about what you're working on at the moment? Say maybe a current project, and then later on, we'll sort of cover what you were doing before that sort of happened. So yeah, just tell us a bit about your story.
Yeah, so basically, what I do currently is I got into property investing about 2 years ago, and I purchased 15 properties during that space of time, and then I created a substantial portfolio, and then I realized, the wealth I created for myself, why not, share that knowledge with other people who are also interested in doing have a similar outcome.
Okay.
And um, and so the strategy is pretty simple in the sense of where we're looking for properties that we could make some money independent of market conditions. So it's independent of what's going on around in the property market or the interest rate. We're basically trying to create growth independent of those conditions.
Okay, so could you just describe a little bit about how you actually got started doing that? Actually, first, could you tell us some of the results? Say, is that how many properties and the kind of portfolio that you've built in that 2 year period? Could you talk a bit about that?
So in a 2 year period, it's 15 properties. So I basically started at one, two, three, and then I went going on. I mean, there have been times when I bought two properties at one time. So what I'm holding on to right now is 15 properties with a portfolio worth $3.5 million. And what that means is that's the value of the property. If I was to say sell it down right now.
Wow, that's in that short space of time. That's amazing. So, what were you doing before that? How did you actually get started down that path?
Well, I came to Australia here when I was 18, so about 13 years ago, and I came here to study as a student in university. And I mean, I come from a very business background family, so I've always been interested in business and other opportunities. And so I've always tried different things on the side. So I've used to work for one of the big four banks for about 10 years. So I was a very committed, loyal employee
Yeah.
to one of the, to one of Australia's largest banks. But at the same time, I was always, on the side in the evening, in the middle of the night, looking for other opportunities. And this was the property investing opportunity was something that I came about 2 years ago, and that made sense. It was a simple formula, a simple strategy, and that's how I got it going.
Okay.
And I didn't start with a lot of money. So what I did was I purchased a property a few years ago, and there was about $50,000 in equity. And what I mean by equity is basically that the property had rise in value of $50,000, and that's the $50,000 that I started with to start purchasing my first, second, third, and then all the way to 15. So I haven't put any extra money other than that original $50,000.
Right. So you grew $50,000 in equity in one property into 15 properties worth over $3 million
That's right,
in
but
a
I
2 year
guess
period.
the most important is to follow a strategy that makes sense, or more importantly, follow people that have already achieved it, and then replicate that.
Okay. Well, who are some of the people that you followed that have helped you out to be able to learn all this stuff?
The main thing in terms of my property success, I always, when I coach people, it's not really about property success. It's more about your mental mind success formula. I believe if you have the right mindset or attitude, you could succeed, whether it's in property or shares or in business or in life in general. So even though I started maybe 2 years ago, um, I would say my first 10 years before that is where I was building up the right mentality. So in terms of reading books, like by Jim Rohn or Tony Robbins or Richard Branson, and then meeting mentors who have succeeded in some area of life. And then when I came to the concept of property 2 years, the 10 years that I had behind that was actually what allowed me to go so fast and so quickly with very minimal mistakes. I mean, I don't know if you know this. I think the ABS released a statistic about 2 years ago. There was only 0.1% of Australia that owns more than 4 properties in their personal name.
Yeah.
And that's very few. And you might know, Peter, too. I mean, there'll be quite a few people you would know that might own 1 or 2 properties, or maybe 2 or 3 properties, but you rarely hear anyone going over the number 5.
Yeah.
And there's reasons behind that, and I think that's where your formula and how you see things and the strategy come into play.
Okay. So the guys like, say, Tony Robbins, Richard Branson, you consider them some as your mentors. What about some property mentors that you've had?
To be honest, Peter, up till now, I have never read a property investment book.
Okay.
Never read one. After I bought my first 2 properties 2 years ago is when I went to some, introductory seminars. But I would go to these seminars and I would see people, spending thousands of dollars and thousands of dollars on all this. And I go to them and I go, so have you purchased your first property? And they'll be like, no. And that's when I say to myself, it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have. It doesn't matter how educated you become. If you're not doing anything or taking any sort of action to get into the game, it's not going to happen. So that's the key. In terms of the mentoring, like I said, it's a formula that I've learned from so many different people, and then it's my background, personal growth for 10 years before that has basically come and where I've created a simple strategy that now, if someone was to come to me, I could say, look, this is where you are, where you want to go, and then I help them through that process.
Okay, well, could you talk a little bit about that strategy? Do you have like a system kind of written down that you could pass on to someone, like bullet points that you could share with us right now?
My outlook is, or my vision or mission is to help others to help themselves. So basically, I want to help somebody, but they got to help themselves. It's like I'm not going to help them completely 100%.
Yeah.
So I'll show them the tools, and then it's like, okay, well now it's your turn to go through the work. So what it is you get some strategies. It's like, you know what, here's a good property, go buy that property, and then they go buy that property. They might make money on that first property, but then they haven't really got the mindset ready to keep going on the second property. So more than just the property mentoring, it's also the mental philosophy that goes behind it to be able to hold on to so much. It's like what I always tell, my friends or students is like, you can make a lot of money, but whether you keep the money is a different story.
Yeah.
So, because you might meet a lot of people, you say, you know what, I got a $200,000 job, I have a $300,000 job. And then I might say, well, you know what, how much money do you have in your bank account right now?
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with property. A lot of people acquire properties, but guess what? They actually sell the property at the wrong time.
Mm.
And that's the unfortunate thing, because that's when people like me come and get a really good deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what do you do? But then at the same time, I say, well, you know what? If you want to learn and if you want to make some money and hold on to that, I'm there to guide you through the process. So most of my consulting happens one-on-one. So I'm not in the position where I would like educate 20 people or 50 people. It's a very specialized one-on-one. I get to know them, they get to know me, and then it's a step-by-step, I'm going to hold your hand.
Yeah.
Process. So it's not just to do with property, it can be any aspect of wealth creation.
Okay, so yeah, it's not specifically just property, but it's about helping people to have that mental edge that they need, I guess you could call it.
That's correct. I mean, because there's been situations, where I can make someone, maybe $30,000 in a month, but if they don't have the mental capacity to understand what they've done, is they can go and use that $30,000 on something they should not have done.
Yeah.
Whereas I coach them that, okay, you made that $30,000, that's an investment, now you need to go invest that money and try and double it or triple it. You're not meant to take the entire $30,000 and go on a holiday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which happens. It's the philosophy of delayed gratification, which I'm sure you heard of too.
Yes. Yes.
Very, very important strategy because everyone, especially with our generation these days, everyone wants everything yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And in terms of strategy, one of my strategies is like finding problem properties for solution buyers.
Could you
So
say that again? I'm just going to write that down.
So how I look at it is like finding problem properties for solution buyers.
Okay.
So what I mean is that a solution buyer is the majority of the population. It can be a mom and dad, a first-time investor. They just want to buy a property that looks good.
Yep.
You know, that looks complete, that looks normal, let's say. It has a door, it has walls, it has a roof.
Yeah.
What I say is I'm looking for problem properties for solution buyers. So I'm looking for properties that the average person out there would not want to look at because there's something not right about it. That could be that the property is up for a fire sale, means it's getting repossessed by the bank. There have been deals where say it's a block of units and the builder of the block of units needs to sell down because the bank's wanting to reduce his exposure. Then there could be something wrong with the property. Maybe it's been damaged. You know, some damages are cosmetic renovation. Some damages can be structural.
Yeah.
And those are what I call problem properties because that's where the money is. So basically what you're doing is you're looking for properties that are problems, and because you're looking for problem property that other people don't want to buy, then you buy it for much less than what the market value is. And so that's what I mean by I'm looking for properties where I create value that is independent of market forces.
Yeah.
So most people buy a property and they rely on capital growth. And that's when I have people say, oh, you know what, the property market's flat in Australia, or the interest rates are rising, or you know what, I think the property is going down in value. But the way I'm looking at it is I'm not looking at depending on external forces. I'm looking for properties that I can create value. So I'll give you an example. If I find this, and this is an actual example from say a month ago. If I can find a property that is in the market right now for say $180,000 somewhere out in Sydney or rural Sydney, New South Wales. But if I can buy that same property for $110,000, that means I bought the property for $70,000 less.
Mm.
The reason I can buy it for $70,000 less is because it's a problem property. It's because it's a property that not many people will want to look at. And then what I do is I work backwards. And then I go, okay, so this is how much the property is worth in the market. How much can I get it for? Okay, so I've got it for, say, $70,000 less. Now, let's just say that there's a renovation to be done in the property. And that's another area I help with people because, you know, some people, renovations is a very tricky area. And because I've done it multiple times, and I have contacts in the building industry, I help people manage that renovation, like a project, so that they don't have to get involved in the renovation. They just have to get involved in, say, the high-level decision making. And so say the renovation is $20,000. So what I say is, okay, that property is $110,000. I put a $20,000 renovation in, so the property now, your cost is now say $130,000. However, in the market, once renovated, a solution property is worth $180,000. So I still made money. So I have two options. Either I can sell the property and cash in on that money, or I can, if I want to go and buy my second property, what I do is I go to the bank, get that property revalued, get that equity, and then use that money as a deposit for the second property. And then I follow that simple strategy over and over again. I don't change the formula.
Okay, so yeah, that just works and works and works. It doesn't matter what kind of market you're in.
It works. It works. I mean, as long as you follow the steps and you follow the rules, it's predictable. But the
Yeah.
most important is like you stick to. I mean, I guess that's what a system is. You basically stick to the system. You don't try and reinvent it.
Yeah. Excellent, man. That's really cool. Now, sort of moving on a little bit, how do you stay focused? How did you stay disciplined? So, were you all over the place at one point trying to do heaps of things and felt really overwhelmed? Because I find a lot of entrepreneurs do that until they
Yep.
get a point where they can just really pinpoint their focus, and that's when they kind of break through. Did you experience that yourself?
Yeah, I think you're right. Staying focused and self-discipline is very key. I mean, that's the way I say it's really not to do with property. I mean, it's like if you even want to lose weight and go to the gym.
Yeah.
You know, majority of people fall out because they're not self-disciplined. It's like, okay, they get this excitement in the meeting, they go to the gym for the first month, and it's the same way. I mean, a lot of students, they get excited, they buy their first property, and then they're like, oh, you know what, let me go do something else now, let me go in the share market.
Yeah.
And the way to be, I think, self-disciplined is you need to be very clear with yourself as to why you're doing something. A lot of people jump into things in life not knowing why they're doing it. You know, they kind of just jump in because they're like, oh, you know what, this looks nice, that looks nice. Let me go try this out. And they go, you know what, I'm bored out of that. Let me go and try something else out. But they're not really clear on, like, hold on, what's my actual goal that I'm trying to achieve? It's like how I did 10 years at the bank. I knew I had to build that experience up because, hey, it was a bank, and I knew I was going to learn a lot out of the banking industry.
Yeah.
And even though it might be, I mean, I could have got into the market maybe 6 years ago, but I knew I had to complete a certain task, even though it was uncomfortable, until I was ready to do the next task. And that's just a matter of you becoming aware of yourself and saying, you know what, if you want to make money out of property, it's not overnight. I remember one of my mentors saying that overnight success is 15 years.
It's a long night.
I basically I still have about 2 more years left.
Yeah.
Of mistakes to make. So it's like you just need to know why you're doing it, and you need to become very clear that this is going to take, say, 5 years. And
Yeah.
then I guess you become comfortable that this is going to take 5 years, but this is the end result, you know. You might have X number of properties, you know, you can retire, you know. And I say, even if I met someone at 30, and if he wants to retire at 40, guess what? You know, people are still working at 70 these days.
Yeah.
You know, so at least you retired at 40 and not 70, and you retired with quite a few options. And to me, my biggest thing was the freedom and the ability to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And then I always say there's a price to pay for that.
Yeah.
What
What would you say that price is?
Hey?
What would you say that price is?
To myself, I mean, to be honest, you know, I met some other guys who've kind of, say, retired through property and other avenues of wealth. But then what I realized is when they retired through those avenues, they've actually taken a step back in their lifestyle. So it's like saying, you know, they were in a $100,000 job, and now they retired, and now they're on a $30,000 passive income portfolio out of their property. But they've just basically reduced their lifestyle from $100,000 to $30,000. And to me personally, I was not prepared to do that. I said, you know what, I want my life to be the same or better.
Yeah.
Like I like, it's like I always say, I like the finer things in life. I want a good car, good house, good holidays. And so I said, I'm not going to quit my job until I'm able to do that. And this is the great thing about what I teach people to do this, is like you do this on the side. Do not quit your daytime job or your daytime business. Because if anything, it is complementing you because you have an income that you can use for borrowing money through the banks and everything. And so it's something that I would say is a good thing.
Mm. So how much time would you spend? Say like I'm working a full-time job, 5 days a week. When do you have time to do property?
When I was doing this for myself, to be honest, I mean, you gotta have a good work ethic, which is key, I guess, with anything. I don't think I spend more than an hour a day.
Okay.
Because, like I said, it's like keeping things simple. You know, you asked me that question about people get overwhelmed. I said people get overwhelmed is because they're complicating it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah? If you just pull out all these unnecessary thought processes and keep things simple, then you know exactly what to do.
Okay.
So I think I spend more than an hour a day looking at properties.
Okay. Yeah. So I was going to say
then the weekend.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what would you be doing in that hour? What would you be doing for that hour? So you say an hour a day. What are you doing in that hour?
In that hour a day, it's just a matter of researching properties. I'll say, mainly, the other thing I can suggest to anyone watching the interview is actually to network with other people. As we all say, right, it's who you know and not what you know.
Yeah.
And everything I think I learned from life is from other people. And so that hour a day could even include going to like a seminar or a networking event, or just meeting new people. I mean, the same way I just like met you.
Yeah.
Just saying hello.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that's what I say to people. You know, sometimes all you have to do is just say hello to somebody. And if you really don't know who that person is, but the thing is, you're not going to know until you actually say hello.
And you never know what's going to happen. Next thing you know, you could be getting interviewed and blasted around the internet.
Exactly right. Exactly right. You know?
Or you could be learning about property from some dude that you met at a seminar. No,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So networking, researching properties. So it's not like a back-breaking thing by the sounds of it.
I don't believe so. But I always want to highlight to that you've got to keep things simple. So it's like if I want to spend an hour on property every day, that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to like spend an hour on property, then go to the gym, and then go here and see my friends and do this and do that. And then that's when people think, oh my God, this is too much.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, okay, this is 6 to 7 p.m. is my hour to do my property research, and that's it. Nothing else.
Yeah. So just shut the phone, get off Facebook, focus for that 1 hour.
Get off Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook sucks hours and hours away, doesn't it?
And yeah,
yep.
And obviously, you know, I would spend time on the weekend, but if it was the weekend, that would be me driving out to check some properties. But I mean, I took that as a good hobby, you know, going and checking out properties. I mean, it's like I wanted to bring the fun in whatever I was doing. And the other thing is, you want to enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to do this because it's a pain. It's like, oh my God, I have to go look at this property. Then you know what? You're not going to enjoy it. I would actually say don't do it.
Good advice. Make it fun. So let's say someone wanted to get started doing what you do. They don't have to scrape their knees for years and years and years to learn it. What would be like maybe their first step? Someone who knows nothing about property. Someone like me, I don't know anything about property. I want to get started. What's my next step?
I think the first thing they'll do is they'll contact me.
Yeah. There's going to be some links under here, guys, so you can get in contact with Zaki.
That's right. I mean, so that's what I did. I mean, I started this company called Green Design Do. And, you know, the name behind it is it's like what I said before. You need to know why you're doing it, so you need to know what the green is.
Yeah.
The exact reason. And then the design part is the how, is the strategy of how you're going to design the green. And then the do part is actually taking action.
Mm.
And so that's behind the company, greendesign.do. Greendesign.do. And then we have a conversation, and then I get an understanding of what is it you're trying to achieve, or why is it you're trying to achieve, by when do you want to achieve it, and then we give out some options.
Okay, so in the first instance, right?
And of course, you know, you can do it yourself.
I think we've got a bit of delay here happening. That's cool. So if someone wants to come and get in contact with you, right? They come through your website. What's the first thing that happens? They call you up or leave their email. You call them back. How does it work?
Yeah, they can go through my website. It's www.greendesign.do, or they can email me directly. So it's Zaki@greendesign.do, which is ZAKI@greendesign.do.
Yep. Okay. So they get in contact with you. What's the first meeting? So what's the first meeting consist of? So what are you there to find out? Basically, I'm trying to figure out how you actually get to work with you guys. Let me see. So how do we go? How do you go about teaching people what you do?
Um, the first thing is, I mean, is most importantly is like sharing my knowledge or my background of where I came from.
Mm.
So I guess it's to drive the desire of, hold on, this is how I started, um, this is how I did it, and this is exactly what I'm going to teach you.
Mm.
So it's like I can give them a book, I can give them a one pager of saying A B C D E F G, and then go, okay, go do it. But it's going to be very daunting to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to keep it as simple, as easy as possible. And every person's needs are different. So everyone works at a different level. Everyone has a different personality. And everyone has different requirements. Sometimes some people want to buy properties that they can see. I have some clients who don't even want to see the property. They don't care where it is,
Yeah.
as long as it makes them money. And then I have other clients who actually want to be able to drive within 1 hour and see that property. So it's more like a fact gathering information hour
Yeah.
of trying to understand, okay, can I help you? Because there can be a situation where I can't help that person.
Yeah.
And I say, you know what, maybe the timing is not right.
So-
Or maybe, you know what, your finances are not right. Or maybe you need to
Yeah.
go and do something else. Maybe you have to solve this or solve that, and then come to me. And then that's me. It's all about like being transparent and saying up front, this is it. This is where we're at.
Excellent. Excellent. So just to change it up little bit, man. What's the thing that you love most about your work?
It's doing this. It's just like talking to you. I just love sharing like knowledge to people who want to use it.
Yeah.
So that's the key thing is about people finding people who actually want to do something. And I enjoy that process of like helping others, help themselves. It's like if someone asks what's your purpose in life, and that's my purpose, is to help others help themselves.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. So what have you got coming down the pipeline? Have you got a project that you're kind of working on for like to do actually get into seminars or anything like that, or are you focusing on the one-on-one aspect completely?
I mean, at this stage, I'm at a point where I want to continue with the one-on-one.
Yeah.
I mean, I always have projects in terms of properties. There's always properties in the market that are coming here and out, and there are always auctions coming up. There are always, agents who ring me. I mean, most of these properties don't even hit the real estate market. The reason they don't hit the market is because a real estate agent, if he puts it on the market, he might take 3 months having to show people for 3 months, or he might bring people like us who are ready to buy and who also know people who are ready to buy.
Yeah.
And he'll say, you know what, Zaki, I've got this property coming up. Why don't I give you a good deal? And he might reduce the price because he's going to save 3 months of advertising and marketing and ethics.
Yeah. So that money comes off the price. He gets his money. You get a good deal. So that's part of actually being in your position. Once you've sort of been there a while, being consistent, people start coming to you with properties. You don't have to go out and even look for them all the time.
That's it. I mean, I think it's like that's the hard hat that I built over the last few years.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a position now where, and that's the great thing. Anyone new they don't have to do what I did. They can just basically tap into what I've already built and take it from there.
So sometimes properties, does this ever happen? Sometimes properties come up and you go, hey, this would be perfect for so-and-so, this person, and then you sort of funnel them through to the people that you teach. Does that sort of thing happen?
That's right. I mean, I have a property recently that didn't even hit the market. What happens is, maybe I'll give you a tip for your viewers, is every property agent has a rent roll. So, there's the sales office that does the selling of the properties, and then there's the property management office that maintains the rental. And any real estate agent, their biggest asset is the rent roll. So what happens is, say a real estate agent wants to close down or sell his business, the biggest asset that agent has is the rent roll. So what I mean by the rent roll is all the landlords that are using that agent to rent their property out.
Yeah.
And what happens is the property managers and the sales office, they kind of work together. So the sales guys will go to the property managers and go, I wonder which landlord that is currently renting that property wants to sell his property.
Mm.
Because guess what? Then the sales agent will ring the landlord and say, you know what, you've had this property for 5 years. Have you ever thought of selling that property? And then the landlord might say, yeah, you know what, why don't I sell that property? Because it's gone up in value, he might make money. So the landlord makes his increase in value by selling it. And at the same time, the agent might make 6% of the purchase price in commission. And that's how the agents then ring people like me and say, you know what, there's this property that, the landlord might be interested in selling. And then I go, you know what, I might have a buyer right now who's actually looking for a similar property. It's like just connecting the dots.
Yeah. That's just so your network that you build up from going through this system ends up just feeding in on itself and feeding itself and feeding itself.
That's right. I think I learned it from one of my early seminars. Any big business is basically a big network.
Yeah.
Of things connected together. Yeah. It's like, it's like a phone network. It's like Telstra. It's like Facebook or Twitter. It's all it is. It's a connection point where people connect.
Yeah.
And if you can be that connection point, you make a lot of money.
Awesome. Put yourself in the flow of money.
That's it.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks heaps, man, for today. We've already got your address, but I'll get you to say your web address again so that people can find out, and I'll put a link below so they can just click on it right now to go visit you.
Yeah, Peter, it's www.dreamdesign.do.
So dreamdesign.do.com?
Yeah. No .com, just dreamdesign.do.
All right, there you go, guys. Well, thanks heaps for your time, man. I've learnt a lot about property and a lot of things I didn't know before. So I've got my notes. Guys, you take your notes and learn from Zaki and get in touch with him right now if property might be the thing that you're interested in. Thanks a lot, man. And we'll definitely catch up again and we'll hang out and have another chat.
Thanks, Peter. It's great speaking to you too.
You too, man. Thanks heaps. See ya.